I was talking to one of my clients recently, and she was sharing her levels of doubt about the work she's doing. She's doing something that she feels really passionate about. She loves her life. She loves what she shares. She loves her message, but she was surrounded by a great deal of doubt. You know, that who am I to share this message? Who am I to be the one to talk about this topic? And we had a really insightful conversation about it. And afterwards, I was thinking about when doubt comes up for me. Like, how do I think about it? How do I process it? I guess that's a good way to say. And it was really interesting to me, some of the stuff that came up, because I was thinking about, I have known that I want to do this type of work since I was 14 years old. Now, at 14, I didn't really understand that it would be this type of work. At 14, I just thought, you know, that's what I want to do. And it all came from watching a woman who was speaking in the auditorium at my high school. It was one of those stay off drugs talks, you know, and she came in and she was sharing about her drug experience, her jail experience, and she was sharing all of this personal stuff about herself to encourage us to say no to drugs. But as I was listening to her message, I was thinking, whoa, she is sharing such personal information. And me, coming from my background where I was taught to keep so many secrets about the mental abuse, the verbal abuse, the physical abuse that escalated to sexual abuse by the age of 12, I was thinking, like, there is no way that I could share any of that with anyone. But again, I was 14 and I didn't really know that that would be my message. All I remember thinking is, that's what I want to do. I want to stand up in front of people and I want to share something that is so powerful and so meaningful to them that I will somehow be able to support whatever it is that they're going through. So fast forward, 1998, I started my business, teaching self-defense to women. At that time, I was a teacher, competitor, and student of the martial arts. And I really felt like this is it. This is my calling, teaching self-defense to women. But as my business just kept growing and transitioning from the physical self-defense to the mental, the mindset that I teach today, there were plenty of times when I doubted myself, especially when I got into the spiritual understanding of who I am. Now I realize, like, there is so much more that I have to offer my clients, women that I meet, conversations that I have with women. There is so much more that I have to offer now. But at that time, there were people like Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer and Tony Robbins, all those teachers out there that were teaching mindset work. And I thought, well, what do I have to share? I mean, they've already said it and they're sharing it in a much bigger way than I am. I mean, there's no way that I could ever think about getting the numbers on my videos like Wayne Dyer does or Louise Hay does. But yet I resonated with their messages so much that I knew, if that works for me, if what they're sharing works for me, this is something that I'm having the opportunity to incorporate, add to the work that I'm doing. Because everything I learn is one more tool in my toolbox, so to speak, that I can use to support others. But in this day and age of social media, where we are so used to looking at how many views do we have, how many likes do we have, is anyone sharing my stuff, is anyone paying attention? And like, I could put something on social media that, like this video, that I think is really important, an important message, and get nobody to comment on it or like it or share it or anything like that. And yet when I share something that I create in the kitchen, because I love creating in the kitchen and making homemade bread and pizza dough and all that stuff that I love to do, I get many, many comments. So when I was thinking about this and all of this was going through my head, and I was talking to a business coach, and she was sharing with me, she's like, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And I thought, no, you know what I need to do? What I really need to do? Because I'm choosing it. When I say I need it, it means I'm choosing it. I need to stop doubting myself. Do you guys ever feel like that? Do you ever feel like you're putting so much content out there, you found your purpose, you found your passion, and you're doing something that really means a lot to you, but you feel like no one's paying attention? It's like the very first episode of The Twilight Zone, Where Is Everybody? Where Earl Holliman is walking through this town and there's nobody around, and he keeps going, where is everybody? Where is everybody? Sometimes that black and white show comes into my mind and I'm like, where is everybody? Because I'm going to all of the Louise Hay and the Wayne Dyer and the Eckhart Tolle and the Neil Donald Walsh videos, and I'm looking at the numbers that they have, and I'm thinking like, am I doing something wrong? Again, that's doubt, right? And it's also comparing. I'm comparing myself. And that's what comparing sounds like. Comparing sounds like, oh, look at that person. She's or he is filling up their classes, and they've got so many people on their networking, in their networking groups, that people don't really even have time to connect with each other because there's so many people there. And then I find myself thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? What should I shift? What should I change? And it's interesting to me when I really stop and pay attention to my line of thinking, I realize that I can look at it in a doubtful way. I can doubt myself. I can say, oh, okay, I'm doing something wrong, which doesn't feel good at all. And that's how I always know if my thinking, my thought process, my beliefs are on the track that I want them to be on, which is really in my power, which is me saying like, yes, I rocked this today. I'm doing a great job. I love it. This was excellent. Congratulations, Nancy. Way to go. Now you're partying like purple in your life. This is excellent. To, oh gosh, I don't know. That's how I gauge how I know I'm allowing my higher power, God, source, the universe, Allah, whatever your word for that is. That's how I know when I'm allowing that higher power to guide me and when I'm trying to take over the reins. Growing up, my mom used to say, oh, I give it all up to God, but then I take it back. I give it all up to God, but then I take it back. And we do that, right? It's like we do that. We say, oh yes, I'm trusting in this higher power, but I feel like I have to worry. I feel like I have to doubt. I feel like I have to wonder what's happening. And I feel like I have to be overwhelmed. I feel like I have to be stressed. I feel like I have to work harder. And all of that language, all of it is verbiage for doubt. That's when we doubt ourselves. That's when we're comparing ourselves to others. And we all know that there's so many people out there who are getting likes and shares and this and that, but we don't know what's really going on. And, when I was going through my divorce of 32 years, I was really doubting myself. I was really thinking, like, do I even have the right to continue doing this work and working with women? Because my life is imploding, and why would anyone want to work with me when I'm happy one minute and crying the next because I don't know how to get through this? And even though I have all the tools and I teach this stuff, I was like, it was happening to me and being in the moment, and I was feeling so doubtful about, should I keep going? well, of course, if you can look at it in hindsight, you always know that whatever you're experiencing is going to make you even more powerful, even more knowledgeable, give you a way to speak to people in a different way, in a different manner, because you've gotten more experience and you can have compassion over what someone else is going through if they're going through a similar experience. So when I was going through that time in my life and I thought, you know, I don't know, I just don't know what I should do. And that's when I published my first book, because I thought, you know, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to let people know. I don't ever want to be in the background and have someone dig something up and go, hey, I hear you talking about this, but look over here when you were doing this. And I'm the first one to say, I've made mistakes. But when I think of the word mistake, I spell it this way, MIS-TAKE, like in the movies. You know, take one, take two. A mistake is something I get to do over. It's a do-over. I get to do it over and over. And when someone would say to me, oh, Nancy, you've got all the answers. You know, you look so calm. You look so happy. You look like you're enjoying your life. And they talk about how they want to have that in their life. I always remind people, don't ever, ever look at what someone else is doing or putting out on social media and want to be them, because you don't know the price they've paid to get to where they are. Like, no one knew the price I paid to get to that time just before my divorce. They don't know the price I paid when I was going through my divorce. And they don't know what we're really doing, what our journey is, and how our success is built on simply putting one foot in front of the other. Okay, I'm going to take this step. And then when I say putting one foot in front of the other, it's like, am I trying to force something in my life which doesn't feel good? It feels, that's very fight or flight, right? That's a very primal feeling, that fight or flight. Primal feelings are like anger, depression, frustration, fear, victimization. Those are all very primal feelings. But when you're in your power, what does that feel like? In your power feels like happiness, love, joy, success. It feels like abundance. It feels like prosperity. It feels like everything is going your way until we begin to doubt. So this conversation, I thought, was really something that is worth putting out there and sharing in a video form, just to get people thinking, or maybe start a conversation about times when we doubt ourselves. Because every time we doubt ourselves, like whether it was when I was 14 or when I was going through my divorce or whatever, whenever or maybe I'm starting a new project, you know, like a workshop. I have had so many opportunities where I've created workshops and classes that I've put out there and no one shows. And I think, okay, now I can doubt myself. I can say, oh my gosh, nobody loves me. Nobody cares about my message. Nobody really wants to know what I have to teach or to share or to how I'm supporting others. That's very primal, right? That's very fear, fight, or flight. That's very fearful thinking. But when I'm standing in my power, I can say, oh, okay, I get it. That's probably not really wanted at this time. Or maybe I chose the wrong time to offer it, or whatever. But I don't spend a lot of time second guessing myself. I don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, okay, I think that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm just going to give up the ghost here, and I'm going to go, you know, cook French fries somewhere. I don't do that, because I always go to the mat. That's what I call it, my yoga mat. I sit down. That's where I'm usually, where I choose to sit and do my meditation. I sit on my yoga mat and I just have a conversation with myself, like like if I were sitting across from myself and I would say, okay, I'm feeling very, these primal feelings right now, my very primal state of being, that fear, that doubt, that wondering if I'm good enough. And whether you call it the imposter syndrome or whatever you name it, sometimes I feel like we give things a name and then we claim it. And then when we claim it, then that's all we can think about. So for me, it's more about sitting down and asking myself, okay, am I feeling like I'm in a very primal state of being, or do I feel like I'm in a very powerful state of being? And I'm just honest with myself. And if I say, okay, well, I'm feeling very fearful or doubting myself or comparing myself, I know that it's not true, because there is no way that I would have been given these gifts, these talents, this ability to create, to build something from where I came from to something that is truly supporting women all over the world if I wasn't meant to do this. So if I'm doubting myself, it's not true. And that's me having a pity party for me. And then I ask myself, like, why do you want to have a pity party? What's going on with that? Why do you feel the need to do that? And maybe I'm just, worked a little too much, or I'm not allowing myself to just go with the flow and love on myself. Who knows? But I felt the need to share this message today because in talking with other women, I do see that there are many women who truly doubt their purpose, their passion, what they're here for. And this is one of the reasons that every single time I think, okay, I see that I'm in this primal state of being. So what can come out of this? And more often than not, source, my higher intelligence, however you look at this, will say, hey, if you're feeling this, others must be feeling this. So let's create something to support women around this. And it's always something I enjoy doing. That doesn't mean everything I create works the way I had envisioned, but I can tell you this, it reminds me that I have all the power and you have all the power. So I would ask you, do you doubt your purpose? Do you even know what your purpose is? Have you allowed yourself to say, oh my gosh, I am so fantastic. I am all that in a box of chocolates. I really deserve to party like purple. Leave me some comments and let me know what your thoughts are. Because remember, it's one thing for me to share this message, but when other people comment on these videos, it lets other people, not only hear the message, but see the comments and go, yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Or, yeah, I'm really glad that this topic was brought up because this is something that's been going on in the back of my head that I haven't allowed myself to really bring forth and work through yet. Remember, inner work, I don't know. We really don't even need to call it work. It's really inner opportunity. But if you don't look at it, if you keep resisting it, it's just going to keep coming back at you and creating doubt and keeping you in that primal state of being rather than the powered, empowered, powerful state of being that you were born into and deserve to live from. Let me know how I can support you on this. And if you have any questions, visit me at masteringyourbeliefs.com. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller, the one and only Life Sensei, saying ciao for now.